Welcome to Truth Bombs podcast. Did she really say that? I'm your host, Chef Katrina, joined with
Heidi Muma.
And we're here to talk today about the female hormones. Now, you might be going, hey, this is a female entrepreneur podcast, but here's the reality, ladies. One thing we've discovered in our search to help women really succeed in business, we have to talk about our hormones, because by not doing it, we're basically missing 90% of what makes us as women.
Absolutely. And I find it fascinating. It's like so much in the business world, we have been taught by men.
Yeah.
Which is great because they've been in the business world a heck of a lot longer than we have, and they've been blessing us with their knowledge, which is fantastic. But I think as we've been building Truth Bomb and as we've been diving more into like what actually it means to be a woman in business and how to go about your life with building a successful business, but and still enjoying it.
Yeah.
Not driving so much go that you wind up being burned out, overwhelmed, and just saying, I give up.
Yeah.
And it's like, but what I find fascinating is the people that we've discovered along the way. And it's like, and we're discovering more and more women talking about women's needs. And in the health realm, but it always bleeds over as an entrepreneur, and they're entrepreneurs too. So it naturally bleeds over to the business world, to what we're doing in business.
And it does. And it's so interesting as we talk with women, it's like, I'm tired of hearing, and I hear it all the time, of them burning out. I mean, I've had severe burnout, and I was like, there's got to be a better way. And that was one of the things that kind of kick-started Truth Bomb to begin with, was like, how do we teach a female business approach? Like, what are we missing in our education and our business knowledge? Like, that we get that I need to have a brand, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I understand I need to be talking to an audience. Okay, great. I understand that I need to be having a product or service to put together. Great. I know I need a financial plan. Great. I know I need to be able to create a network and a team that can help me build this business, because one of the things we've really discovered for women is that we can't do it alone.
No.
And this more and more mentality around, hey, we've got to be doing this by ourselves, we have to prove ourselves, is actually becoming part of our biggest detriment to the success of women becoming millionaires, of having the lifestyles they really want, because they feel like they're in this, I got to prove myself to the world that I, as a female, singular, can do this. And that's the detrimental. And then we talk about marketing, right? So Truth Bomb really has addressed all these issues, but we've started putting in the female twist. We start talking about what it is to be a woman.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and of course, this has to start with us at a hormonal set, right? Like, this is really, we're talking to women who are women, born as a woman, have the pussy, have the whole inner workings and the hormonal cycle of a female, because that's really who we want to see succeed in the world of business.
Yep.
Right? We want to give women the unfair advantage, and it's not just how we market our business, it's understanding our bodies too. So let's talk about one of the big things that we took on last year was actually our diet. That was one of the biggest things that we looked at as we were building Truth Bomb. We looked at what we were eating, and you found an amazing influencer, Dr. Rimka.
Yeah, and we will link down below, because we have for a link to say you can follow Dr. Rimka, because let me tell you, we have learned so much from her. And it's like because you can supplement with your hormones. You can take bioidentical hormones and everything, but it all actually starts with what you're putting in your body to begin with. And it was like, and I read a fantastic email from her today about menopause. And how is menopause really as natural occurrence as we think it is here in the modern world?
So you just unpacked a can of worms.
I know. Well, did she really say that? Yes, I did. I'm serious. Like, there's going to be a lot of things that we say that maybe that you'd be like, whoa, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian. Great. I beg you to really research why you're a vegan, why you're a vegetarian, and open your mind to the possibility that it may not be the healthiest diet.
Yeah.
And sometimes I know people don't do it for health reasons. They do it for
Economic,
ethical reasons.
Ethical reasons, yep.
Ethical reasons. And I get that too.
Oof, trust me, I'm a chef from the food industry. If you want to talk about the treatment of animals, we'll have a whole nother side conversation for that. But
yeah.
It doesn't take away from the fact about what you're saying now.
What is like what you're putting into your body and how what you're putting into it affects your body. Because there's a lot more to what's in meat and how meat is really a whole and there's different levels of the quality of meat. I mean, red meat, I know as controversial as this may sound, is actually the healthiest thing for you.
Which is
and
crazy.
And whereas everybody eats chicken, people eat chicken, but chicken is actually the lowest quality protein you can be eaten.
Yeah, I think a lot of that though has to do with how much we put a demand on chicken.
Yes.
Right? Like we've created this huge demand. We've got, I mean, honestly, chicken wings didn't exist like in the capacity that we eat them now before. I mean, chicken wings used to be the waste product in the culinary industry.
Yes, because there's, I mean,
they were the piece you threw away. They had almost no meat on them.
Until they inject hormones.
Until they inject hormones in it. But the breast was much smaller. I would say a chicken breast was actually probably 2/3 the size it is today.
Yeah.
I mean, it was much smaller because it was just the breast of the chicken. Definitely the legs were the more developed of the meat for the better flavor. The wings were a throwaway. I mean, they were scraps. They were tiny little things. Like they didn't have a presence on there. And so the fowl, the birds that we eat today were really supposed to be something to enjoy on the off. Like they were not a primary food source. They were like an addition to.
Well, it's become the inexpensive protein.
Yeah, it really has.
It's the most affordable, and so I get it.
I do.
And
we still eat it.
We still eat it.
We're talking about, but trust me, we love a good fried chicken thigh, like nobody's business with the skin on. So like I can't say we don't eat that.
Yeah, we do air fry it, but but
delicious.
I'm not saying, but it is delicious. And it's like, and that's the thing, it's like I think everything you take, it has to go through your filter to an extent because of what you're going to eat and enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's some things that we just don't enjoy, and it's like, I just don't need that. I mean, it's like,
So let's talk about our journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so last year, I know we did it for a little bit of selfish reasons. Your son was getting married.
Yes.
Was the first startup of this one, I think.
Yes.
Because we were looking at, it's like, okay, what are we eating? And, I want to look good for my son's wedding. And there was some of that thought in there too. And then you kind of stumbled across Dr. Rimka and started hearing things about like a carnivore diet.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, because you're an action taker, I love you to pieces for this, there was a like influx of like beef jerky in the house all of a sudden. There was bison bits. There was all this crazy stuff coming into the house.
Well, yeah.
It really was. Don't lie.
I get fascinated by things and I just jump on it. Now it wasn't your typical beef jerky. It was
grass fed.
It was grass
no
fed.
Hormone.
There was no soy. There was nothing like added to it. So it was actually really good. So anyhow, but yeah, I jump on a bandwagon really fast. But I also, it's like you look at influencers on social media and you have to really research or really look into them, and it's like, because everybody has an agenda, and I get that, and I was like, but the more I got to know, and Dr. Rimka is a true doctor, she's actually here local in Georgia, which is really fascinating to me. So it's like I do look them up. I don't just take what they're saying on social media and run with it.
Yeah.
Because you have to actually get to know the person that you're listening to.
Yeah.
And it's like there's everybody out there. You will find every single opinion, everybody to back you up on social media.
Yep.
And it's like, so you like looking at their actual website, looking at their actual lives and seeing who they are as a human being and what they stand for and it's like, and Dr. Rimka actually started out, her passion is to help children with autism, ADHD, and things like that. And I'm going to say something that's going to strike a lot of people. It's like she actually does, she works with kids that she believes are vaccine damaged. And so, but she works with neurofeedback and adjusting what they're eating, especially adjusting what they're eating, because what you're eating is really affecting not only the hormones that we're talking about, but your behavior, your brain activity, your brain function. It's affecting everything.
Yeah.
And it's more than just something that tastes good. Yeah. It's like, what is it doing to your body? And understanding, like, there's a lot of people out there talking about oxalates now, which was a completely brand new. I had no idea what the heck is an oxalate.
All right, before we dive into oxalates here, we're going to come back to that. It might be a whole nother episode, and I know at some point we're going to continue diving into this conversation. So let's step it back. So
okay,
we were, because she can go into this. I mean, this is like a
this has
woo-hoo!
been a journey, and it's like sometimes I skip around.
So let's talk about the journey. So we ended up saying, okay, you're like, I'm going to be carnivore, Katrina. You don't have to be. You're very adamant that I could continue whatever I was eating if I felt good. But the reality is I'm a chef. So if we're going to cook for one person, we're cooking the same thing. I'm not going to create different meals. It's just a waste of time, energy, and honestly money to have that type of lifestyle. True. And I was curious enough to see about like what it would do for me personally also, because it made sense. We were eating a lot of junk food. You know, we were eating a lot of healthy guacamole, but a lot of blue chips with that too. We were eating a lot of, like, you know, had a piece of bread with breakfast. Like, we were really looking at what do we have to eliminate? And one of the big things when you do a carnivore diet or anything is looking at your sugar content.
Yeah.
Right? So it was a big thing for us when we got started. First off, it was making those minor changes. So like you had said, we had to get more protein in our diet, right? Now, finances last year were not fantastic.
Right.
And so getting a high level grass-fed, no hormone, like you talk about different levels, was hard to do.
Yes.
So we supplemented in different ways. Like we did eat chicken. We went with more of the chicken thigh than the chicken breast.
Yep.
Right? Because there's definitely more nutritional value in the dark meat than there is in the white meat alone. We looked at doing pork.
Yep.
So that was one of the things that we looked at was the pork loin, doing pork tenderloins, things like that, a little more focused in on those proteins.
Right.
We replaced all of our potatoes, like in our normal meal, with radishes.
Yep.
We discovered that when you air fry or bake radishes, they turn from that bitter, acid taste that a lot of people love into like this sweet potato. It really is like you almost don't tell the difference because of the seasoning and everything you've done.
Oh,
with
they're
it.
yummy.
Right?
They're yummy.
So we started looking at some of the vegetables we're eating, and this is where you got into oxalates.
Yeah.
We started looking at, so at one point in our diet, we were doing the yogurt, granola, fruit thing, right? We thought that was a good, healthy option.
Sounds healthy.
It sounded healthy. We've done that. We did, you know, we've changed things up quite a bit. We used to, you know, do eggs in the morning, and then we actually, for the most part, I think our breakfast is predominantly eggs and bacon.
Eggs and bacon.
Eggs, bacon, eggs and steak. Like those are our two main go-tos.
Yeah. And that brings up something. It's like, you know, that's pretty much, it's like our breakfast is super simple.
Yeah.
And we mix it up, you know, it's a little bit. You can add different seasonings. You can add an avocado here and there to mix it up a little bit so you don't get necessarily bored with it. But there's a thing is like, and I think this affects a lot of women in business, is decision fatigue.
Oh, yes.
And
oh, my God, so much.
And when you simplify your diet, it's like the choices, the decisions are like, it's so easy. It's like, I don't have to think about it. It's like, and I know it's like when I was like, when my kids were growing up and I was a wife and everything, and everybody's asking me, what's for dinner? What's for dinner? And I'm like, just tell me what to make. You know what? I'll make it. I have no problem cooking. I was like, I'm tired of deciding what's for dinner.
Yeah.
I'm tired of making the menus and all of this. And each day it was like, everybody, what's for lunch? What's for breakfast? And I'm like, just tell me what you want and I'll do it. So it's like that decision fatigue is like, I think for me is one of like another side benefit of the carnivore diet.
Because you don't really have to think about it. Like, we know we wake up, we know what we're making for breakfast, and then we just kind of move on with our day.
Yeah.
Right? So we've done a little bit of just modifying it, and it is decision fatigue. You guys have heard this, especially in the entrepreneurial realm, of like guys just choosing one outfit to wear over and over again because they don't have to decide on what they're wearing, right? So even guys experience decision fatigue. But I think women really experience it to a higher degree, and we have an energetic around our decisions, because we're making so many more decisions and little ones, especially if we have kids in the house.
Yeah.
If we're, at a job and then we're trying to build a business, there's so many decisions that we're making that it's almost an overwhelm all the time. Right? So simplifying our diet really has made it easier. We kind of know we know what proteins we're going to get. So we pretty much stick with steak, pork, and then chicken thighs is our pretty much our go-to.
Yeah, we do. I like to throw in salmon.
We do throw in salmon.
I love and shrimp.
And shrimp. Oh, we did do shrimp a lot,
I
too.
like to throw in that seafood there. It's like it's not a predominant in our diet, but we do enjoy it.
Yeah. So it's just like it's blending everything, right?
Yeah.
So we really worked on just making our proteins a little bit of variety. We did a lot with salami. I know that one of the things they talk about is not heavy dose on cheese, but we love cheese, so we didn't really give that up altogether. Right. So, but we made those modifications. Like we just looked at, okay, we don't need bread in the house. There isn't really any bread in the house at all. We haven't bought a loaf of bread in over a year to really any extent.
No, we don't. So we've cut out pretty much all grains. And a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's going into like the why it's like, well, how it affects your body. It's like, it really is a determinant factor, but it's,
and especially the female body. That was one thing that we've really been studying, because and then we've been reading about this. So we've read it in the book, like The Flow. We've read it heard from it from Dr. Rimka. We've heard of it from multiple sources. About how important it is for women in food.
Yeah.
And the food we're eating, and you talked about leading into this podcast, is menopause a real thing for women?
Right.
Right. And a lot of it, and I tell people all the time, I said, you've got to fuel your body first. The body becomes the most important thing, right? And when women listen to their body and feed it what it needs, when they tap into their cycle, right? When you're eating foods that you support your hormonal cycle at different times, because the thing is yes, we're eating the same thing over and over again, but I have noticed that there are certain times when I crave a little more salt. There are times when I crave maybe a little bit of bread. Like we've had broken down and gotten like, pizza or something or whatever, but we also recognize that too much of it does have a negative effect on our body.
And so what has... And this was great, because like we went on this diet for a while, and then occasionally like we'll eat at a friend's house or something, and
I'm gonna say no diet. It's a lifestyle food.
It really is.
It really is
a lifestyle.
Be a better consumer of food.
Because I honestly don't feel like I am
giving up anything. Says the jar of jelly beans behind us.
But it's the overall diet, and it's recognizing how the foods affect your body. Because it's like, I used to, I could eat half a pizza or sometimes a whole pizza. And
no shame.
And be like, oh my, and loving it. And because I love pizza. I'm from New Jersey. I absolutely love pizza, but we don't get that pizza here in Georgia. But anyhow, digress. But we went over a friend's house and we had pizza. Just regular pizza, regular crust, blah, blah, blah. And that evening and the next day, we were both like, yuck.
Yeah.
Like you really recognize how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And it's like, and if that's your normal everyday diet,
you don't recognize
it. But when you take it out of your diet, you recognize what it's doing to your body. So if you think about it, that's how we're eating from the first however many years of your life, and then you feel like crap, and you have like high PMS, and you have all these things, and it's like and acne and all these things that we think are normal. And it's like, well, how, like, are they really normal?
Yeah.
When they start doing studies on hunters and gatherers back from like the 17 and 1800s, they didn't have the issues that we have. Now, I know they had other issues, and I'm not going to get into that. But when we talk about menopause, and we talk about these different things that we deal with, and you look back at the diets how our diet has changed and fluctuated and become what do they call it? The SAD, Standard American Diet. It's very sad. And it's like, but we all are just like, well, that's what we have, so that's what we eat, and we just give up. And it's like, and I think that's what I want to fight against, is that given up mentality. It's like, oh, this is just normal. This is what we deal with.
Yeah.
No, there's a reason it's happening. And let's actually be proactive about educating ourselves why it's happening, instead of just taking a drug to cover the symptoms and then taking another drug to counteract the side effects from those drugs, and taking another drug to side effects of those drugs. That is what's typical in America.
Yeah.
And that
just
is
give me a pill for this.
Just give me a pill and just get rid of it. You're just getting rid of the symptoms. You're not getting to the core of the issue.
And I think it's just fascinating as we've been diving into this, as we look at what needs to shift in the business education for women. And as we've gotten into this, it has been about our hormones, and our hormones are regulated by the food we eat and the environments that we're in. So it's all connected. And I know that we are following a lot of amazing women that are very focused in one of these niches.
Yeah.
And really within Truth Bomb, our goal is to kind of bring this information together so that you can create longevity, that you can, learn how to increase your energy level, not decrease your energy level. Really stop having it be drained every single day and start building in that rest cycle that we so much need as women, that is often neglected because we're in this. I mean, Industrial Revolution was fantastic. It put us in productivity like nobody's business.
Absolutely.
Right? We've got a lot of great advancements from it. But I think one of the things that in doing all of this advancement in technology and everything else, and I love it for the science, because I really love it that women are actually pushing now, and we have the voice. It took us 60 plus years in really saying, hey, I have a female body. It reacts differently than the male body to these exercises, to foods, to drugs. It's not the same system. And I'm asking you to help me understand what and how it impacts my body, my hormones. Because yes, women are the more complex creatures. Fantastic. But that complexity doesn't mean we shouldn't be studied. If anything, that complexity should make us more curious, because we create the human race. Why would you not want to study the creator of life?
And just because something, I know economically it's cheaper. It's less expensive to study a man's body or postmenopausal women. And it's like, and so it's...
Again, what is postmenopausal? Are they still cycling, though? That's my question.
Well, hey, it's like this, as more of they study, it's like, and they actually are starting to study women in their menstrual cycle, in their 28-day cycle, and the different phases that we go through. But they're all fairly new studies in the last 10, 12 years. They're scratching the surface of what happens to women during your 4 cycles that you go through every month. And it's like, and so it's like, and we read this morning, which I thought was just fascinating, about exercise and how women, it's like, if you're like, to be a bodybuilder like a man is not healthy. It's like, and sometimes it's like you can work out like a man and actually gain weight.
Yeah.
And it's not muscle, even though that's what we say. It's like, I think some of it may be muscle, but depending on where you are in your cycle, is dependent on what you're doing is going to affect your body. And it was fascinating to read about a lady who was training for a triathlon, and she trained her body for the altitude and the humidity or the environment that she was going to be in. But then she still struggled the last half of the race because of the phase of the month.
She was in the last part of her luteal phase, which you guys may not know yet. But if you don't understand your phases as a woman,
right,
we really are going to dive into this one also. But that luteal phase, that second phase right before she has her period, is a time that women need to be resting.
Yeah.
And your body cycles a little differently. And the thing is that she recognized she underperformed. She was more fatigued. She was worn out in the whole race, and she wasn't at her optimal performance. But we actually have, in our 28-day cycle, we have an optimal performance like a couple of weeks.
Right.
And then we have a couple of weeks of rest and regeneration. So it's where we've been so trained to be on the circadian rhythm of a 24-hour clock.
Yep.
That we've completely ignored our infradian clock. And I finally got that word right. I'm so happy with myself on this podcast.
Congratulations.
But that infradian rhythm that women naturally cycle through that's been ignored is really what we started pointing to in terms of syncing your business into your infradian rhythm, syncing your food into your infradian rhythm, your exercise in there, and watching the shift start to happen in women. It's been really, I mean, honestly, the women that are coming out of Truth Mom Academy are absolutely more confident. They're really feeling like they own their body for the first time. They're able to make the business that they want, and they're able to still take the rest that they desperately need that they've been told they couldn't do because it's all about more do. Yeah. And that's what's hurting us. So if you want, I'm going to wrap this up because this is going to go into a whole big conversation. So if you guys want to learn more about what it is to be a female entrepreneur, building your business while aligning with your health, your hormones, and even building that business to the level that you want that's more sustainable, head over to truthbombmarketing.com. Visit us over there. We're going to go ahead and in our podcast notes and descriptions, we're going to put a link to Dr. Rimka. We'll talk about some of the studies that we've done over there. But absolutely head over and learn more about how the Truth Mom Academy is really designed to help support females in business, giving them a paradigm shift on what it is to actually build a business for sustainability. Meaning you generate more leads, you're going to generate more income, and you're going to have a better, healthier business because you yourself are going to be in a better, healthier place. Excellent. So with that, this wraps up our today's episode, and we'll see you on our next podcast. Did she really say that?